Welcome to my channel. Today, I will whisper to you about the Meiji Restoration, a pivotal period in Japanese history that transformed the nation from a feudal society into a modern, industrialized state. We will explore the events leading up to the Meiji Restoration, the key reforms implemented, and the profound impact these changes had on Japan. Let's begin this fascinating story. In the mid-19th century, Japan was under the rule of the Tokugawa shogunate, a feudal military government that had maintained relative peace and stability for over 250 years. However, this period of isolation and limited interaction with the outside world left Japan technologically and economically behind the Western powers. The arrival of Commodore Matthew Perry from the United States in 1853 marked a turning point. Perry's fleet, known as the Black Ships, forced Japan to open its ports to foreign trade, exposing the shogunate's inability to defend the country against external threats. The subsequent treaties signed with Western powers, often referred to as the unequal treaties, imposed significant economic and political constraints on Japan. The dissatisfaction with these treaties and the shogunate's perceived weakness led to growing unrest among various factions within Japan. Samurai, intellectuals, and regional leaders began to call for the restoration of imperial rule and the modernization of Japan to resist foreign domination. In 1868, these sentiments culminated in the Meiji Restoration, a political revolution that restored power to Emperor Meiji and ended over 2 centuries of Tokugawa rule. The young emperor, then just 15 years old, became the symbol of Japan's new direction. The slogan Fukoku Kyohei, enrich the country, strengthen the military, encapsulated the new government's goals of economic and military modernization. One of the first major steps taken by the Meiji government was the abolition of the feudal system. The daimyo, or regional lords, were required to return their lands to the emperor in exchange for government positions. This centralization of power was essential for the implementation of nationwide reforms. The samurai class, which had been the backbone of the feudal system, was gradually dismantled. Samurai were stripped of their traditional privileges and stipends, and many were integrated into the new conscripted army or transitioned to civilian roles. Emperor Meiji and his advisors embarked on a series of comprehensive reforms aimed at modernizing Japan. These reforms touched every aspect of Japanese society, from the military and economy to education and government. One of the most significant reforms was the establishment of a conscripted army based on Western models. The new military was equipped with modern weaponry and trained in Western tactics, which significantly enhanced Japan's defensive capabilities. The economy also underwent profound changes. The Meiji government encouraged the development of industries and infrastructure, laying the foundation for Japan's industrial revolution. Western technology and expertise were imported, and Japanese students were sent abroad to study engineering, science, and other disciplines. Factories, railways, and telegraph lines were built, transforming Japan into an industrial powerhouse. Key industries such as textiles, shipbuilding, and steel production flourished, driving economic growth and increasing Japan's competitiveness on the global stage. Education was another critical area of reform. The Meiji leaders recognized that a well-educated populace was essential for national progress. The government established a public education system based on Western models, making education compulsory for both boys and girls. This emphasis on education helped to create a skilled workforce and fostered a sense of national identity and unity. As Japan embraced modernization, it also underwent significant cultural and social transformations. Traditional customs and practices were reevaluated and, in many cases, abandoned in favor of Western ideas and lifestyles. Western clothing, architecture, and even cuisine began to influence Japanese society. However, this period of rapid change also sparked debates about the preservation of Japanese identity and the balance between modernization and tradition. The Meiji Restoration had a profound impact on Japan's international standing. By the late 19th century, Japan had transformed from a secluded feudal society into a formidable industrial and military power. This newfound strength enabled Japan to renegotiate the unequal treaties and assert itself on the global stage. Japan's victories in the First Sino-Japanese War, 1894 to 1895, and the Russo-Japanese War, 1904 to 1905, demonstrated its military prowess and marked its emergence as a major player in international affairs. The success of the Meiji Restoration was not without its challenges and controversies. The rapid pace of change created social dislocation and economic hardships for many, particularly the former samurai and rural populations. Resistance to the new order occasionally erupted into violence, such as the Satsuma Rebellion of 1877, led by disgruntled samurai. The government responded with force, demonstrating its commitment to maintaining the new political and social structure. Despite these challenges, the Meiji Restoration laid the foundation for Japan's remarkable transformation into a modern nation. The reforms implemented during this period had lasting effects, shaping Japan's development well into the 20th century. The emphasis on education, industrialization, and military strength continued to influence Japanese policy and society. As we reflect on the Meiji Restoration, it is important to recognize the complex interplay of internal and external factors that drove this period of change. The desire to resist foreign domination and the need to modernize were powerful motivators for the leaders of the time. Their ability to navigate the challenges and opportunities of the era ensured Japan's survival and prosperity in a rapidly changing world. The legacy of the Meiji Restoration extends far beyond the immediate changes it brought about. It set Japan on a path of rapid modernization and industrialization that would shape its destiny for decades to come. The reforms of the Meiji era laid the groundwork for Japan's emergence as a global economic powerhouse in the 20th century. The impact of the Meiji Restoration can be seen in Japan's continued emphasis on education and technological innovation. The foundations of Japan's modern education system, established during this period, have contributed to the country's high literacy rates and skilled workforce. The focus on science and technology has driven Japan's advancements in fields such as electronics, robotics, and automotive engineering. Culturally, the Meiji Restoration sparked a dynamic blend of Western and Japanese influences. While traditional arts and customs were preserved, new forms of expression emerged. Japanese literature, theater, and visual arts began to incorporate Western styles and themes, creating a unique cultural synthesis. This cultural exchange enriched Japanese society and broadened its artistic horizons. The Meiji Restoration also had a lasting impact on Japan's political landscape. The establishment of a constitutional monarchy with a parliamentary system based on Western models, set the stage for Japan's modern political institutions. Although the early Meiji government retained significant power, the seeds of democratic governance were sown, leading to greater political participation and representation over time. Japan's military reforms during the Meiji era transformed it into a formidable force. The victories in the First Sino-Japanese War and the Russo-Japanese War showcased Japan's military capabilities and strategic acumen. These successes bolstered national pride and demonstrated that Japan could compete with Western powers on the global stage. However, this militarization also set the stage for Japan's later imperial ambitions and involvement in World War II. Economically, the Meiji Restoration's emphasis on industrialization propelled Japan into the ranks of the world's leading economies. The development of key industries, infrastructure, and trade networks laid the foundation for sustained economic growth. Japan's ability to adapt and innovate in response to global economic trends has been a hallmark of its success. The Meiji era's entrepreneurial spirit and commitment to modernization continue to influence Japan's economic strategies today. The social changes brought about by the Meiji Restoration were profound. The dismantling of the feudal system and the creation of a merit-based society opened new opportunities for social mobility. Education and career advancement became attainable for a broader segment of the population. The emphasis on national unity and identity helped to forge a sense of shared purpose and destiny among the Japanese people. As we consider the legacy of the Meiji Restoration, it is clear that this period of transformation was a pivotal moment in Japanese history. The vision and determination of Emperor Meiji and his advisors set Japan on a course of modernization that would shape its future in profound ways. The lessons of the Meiji era continue to resonate, reminding us of the power of adaptation and innovation in the face of change. The changes brought by the Meiji Restoration were not only confined to domestic affairs. Japan's transformation had significant implications for its foreign policy and international relations. With its newfound military and economic strength, Japan sought to assert itself as a regional power in East Asia. This ambition led to territorial expansion and conflicts with neighboring countries, including China and Russia. Japan's victory in the First Sino-Japanese War, 1894 to 1895, marked a turning point in its foreign policy. The war was fought over control of Korea, which was a tributary state of China. Japan's decisive victory demonstrated its military capabilities and signaled its emergence as a major power in Asia. The Treaty of Shimonoseki, which ended the war, granted Japan significant territorial gains, including Taiwan and the Pescadores Islands, and forced China to recognize Korea's independence. The success of the Meiji Restoration was not without its challenges and controversies. The rapid pace of change created social dislocation and economic hardships for many, particularly the former samurai and rural populations. Resistance to the new order occasionally erupted into violence, such as the Satsuma Rebellion of 1877, led by disgruntled samurai. The government responded with force, demonstrating its commitment to maintaining the new political and social structure. The Meiji Restoration also had a lasting impact on Japan's political landscape. The establishment of a constitutional monarchy with a parliamentary system based on Western models set the stage for Japan's modern political institutions. Although the early Meiji government retained significant power, the seeds of democratic governance were sown, leading to greater political participation and representation over time. Economically, the Meiji Restoration's emphasis on industrialization propelled Japan into the ranks of the world's leading economies. The development of key industries, infrastructure, and trade networks laid the foundation for sustained economic growth. Japan's ability to adapt and innovate in response to global economic trends has been a hallmark of its success. The Meiji era's entrepreneurial spirit and commitment to modernization continue to influence Japan's economic strategies today. The social changes brought about by the Meiji Restoration were profound. The dismantling of the feudal system and the creation of a merit-based society opened new opportunities for social mobility. Education and career advancement became attainable for a broader segment of the population. The emphasis on national unity and identity helped to forge a sense of shared purpose and destiny among the Japanese people. As we consider the legacy of the Meiji Restoration, it is clear that this period of transformation was a pivotal moment in Japanese history. The vision and determination of Emperor Meiji and his advisors set Japan on a course of modernization that would shape its future in profound ways. The lessons of the Meiji era continue to resonate, reminding us of the power of adaptation and innovation in the face of change. Key global developments during the Meiji Restoration era. The Meiji Restoration, which began in 1868, was a period of profound transformation for Japan as it transitioned from a feudal society to a modern, industrialized nation. This era, roughly spanning the latter half of the 19th century, coincided with significant global developments that reshaped the political, economic, and social landscapes worldwide. Understanding these global contexts provides a richer perspective on the Meiji Restoration and its broader implications. 1. The Industrial Revolution. One of the most pivotal developments during this era was the continuation and expansion of the Industrial Revolution, which began in Britain in the late 18th century and spread to other parts of Europe and North America in the 19th century. The Industrial Revolution brought about dramatic changes in production processes, moving from manual labor and artisanal craftsmanship to machine-based manufacturing. This shift led to the growth of factories, the rise of urban centers, and significant technological advancements in transportation and communication. Steam power became a driving force behind these changes. Steam engines powered factories, ships, and locomotives, revolutionizing industries such as textiles, iron and steel production, and transportation. The construction of extensive railway networks facilitated the movement of goods and people, fostering economic growth and regional integration. The telegraph, invented by Samuel Morse, revolutionized communication, allowing for near instantaneous transmission of information across vast distances. The Industrial Revolution also had profound social implications. It led to the rise of a new industrial working class and the expansion of the middle class. However, it also resulted in harsh working conditions, child labor, and significant social inequalities, prompting various social reform movements. The economic prosperity generated by industrialization contributed to the expansion of European colonial empires as nations sought new markets and resources to fuel their growing industries. 2. The unification of Germany and Italy. The latter half of the 19th century saw the unification of Germany and Italy, reshaping the political map of Europe. The unification of Germany was driven by the efforts of Otto von Bismarck, the Prussian Chancellor. Through a series of wars and strategic diplomacy, Bismarck succeeded in unifying the numerous independent German states under the leadership of Prussia. The Franco-Prussian War of 1870 to 1871 was a key conflict that led to the defeat of France and the proclamation of the German Empire in 1871, with King Wilhelm I of Prussia becoming the first German emperor. Similarly, the unification of Italy was a complex process involving multiple wars and political maneuvers. Key figures in the Italian unification, or Risorgimento, included Giuseppe Garibaldi, Count Camillo di Cavour, and King Victor Emmanuel II. Through a combination of military campaigns and diplomatic efforts, the various independent states and kingdoms of the Italian peninsula were unified, culminating in the establishment of the Kingdom of Italy in 1861. The unifications of Germany and Italy altered the balance of power in Europe, leading to new alliances and rivalries that would shape the continent's political landscape in the following decades. These newly unified nations emerged as significant powers, contributing to the competitive dynamics that eventually led to World War I. 3. The American Civil War and Reconstruction. Across the Atlantic, the United States experienced a period of profound turmoil and transformation during the Meiji Restoration era. The American Civil War, fought from 1861 to 1865, was a defining conflict in U.S. history. The war was primarily fought over the issues of slavery and states' rights, pitting the Northern Union states against the Southern Confederate states. The Union's victory in the Civil War led to the abolition of slavery with the passage of the 13th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. The Reconstruction era that followed sought to rebuild the South and integrate formerly enslaved people into American society. However, this period was marked by significant challenges, including economic hardship, political violence, and the struggle for civil rights. Despite the passage of the 14th and 15th Amendments, which granted citizenship and voting rights to African Americans, the promise of Reconstruction was undermined by the rise of segregationist policies and white supremacist groups. 4. European colonial expansion. The latter half of the 19th century was also characterized by an accelerated phase of European colonial expansion, often referred to as the Scramble for Africa. European powers, driven by economic interests, national prestige, and a sense of racial superiority, sought to carve up the African continent into colonies. The Berlin Conference of 1884 to 1885 formalized the rules for this partitioning, leading to the establishment of European control over vast territories in Africa. The impacts of colonialism were profound and often devastating for the indigenous populations. European colonial rule involved the exploitation of natural resources, forced labor, and the imposition of foreign cultural and political systems. The legacy of colonialism continues to shape the political and economic landscapes of former colonies to this day. Beyond Africa, European powers also expanded their influence in Asia, the Pacific, and the Caribbean. The British Empire, in particular, grew to become the largest empire in history, with colonies and territories spanning the globe. This era of imperialism was marked by the establishment of new trade routes, the exploitation of resources, and the spread of Western cultural and political ideals. 5. The decline of the Ottoman Empire. During the Meiji Restoration era, the Ottoman Empire, once a dominant power in the Middle East and southeastern Europe, experienced significant decline. The empire faced internal challenges, including administrative inefficiency, economic difficulties, and nationalist movements within its diverse population. The loss of territories in Europe, the Middle East, and North Africa further weakened the Ottoman state. Reform efforts, known as the Tanzimat reforms, were initiated in the mid-19th century to modernize the Ottoman administration and military. These reforms aimed to centralize and streamline governance, improve tax collection, and promote economic development. However, they faced resistance from conservative elements within the empire and were only partially successful. The decline of the Ottoman Empire set the stage for further geopolitical shifts in the early 20th century, culminating in the empire's dissolution after World War I and the establishment of the modern Republic of Turkey under Mustafa Kemal Ataturk. 6. Scientific and technological advancements. The Meiji Restoration era was also a time of significant scientific and technological advancements that transformed the world. The period saw groundbreaking discoveries and innovations across various fields, including physics, chemistry, biology, and medicine. In physics, James Clerk Maxwell's equations unified electricity and magnetism into a single theory of electromagnetism, laying the foundation for modern physics. The development of the periodic table by Dmitry Mendeleev revolutionized the study of chemistry, providing a systematic framework for understanding the elements. In biology, Charles Darwin's theory of evolution by natural selection, published in On the Origin of Species in 1859, fundamentally changed the understanding of life on Earth. Darwin's work sparked widespread debate and had a profound impact on the fields of biology, anthropology, and paleontology. Medical science also made significant strides during this period. The development of germ theory by Louis Pasteur and Robert Koch transformed the understanding of infectious diseases and led to advancements in public health and hygiene. The invention of antiseptics by Joseph Lister revolutionized surgical practices, dramatically reducing the incidence of postoperative infections. 7. Social and cultural movements. The latter half of the 19th century was a period of significant social and cultural change, marked by various movements advocating for political reform, social justice, and human rights. The abolitionist movement, which sought to end slavery, gained momentum in the United States and Europe, leading to the eventual abolition of slavery in many countries. The women's suffrage movement also emerged during this period, with activists campaigning for women's right to vote and greater gender equality. Figures such as Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton in the United States and Emmeline Pankhurst in the United Kingdom played pivotal roles in advancing the cause of women's rights. In literature and the arts, the period saw the rise of new artistic and literary movements that reflected the complexities of the time. Realism and naturalism emerged as dominant literary genres, with writers such as Charles Dickens, Leo Tolstoy, and Émile Zola exploring the social issues and human experiences of their era. In the visual arts, movements such as Impressionism and Post-Impressionism challenged traditional artistic conventions and introduced new ways of seeing and representing the world. Conclusion. The Meiji Restoration era was a time of profound transformation not only for Japan but also for the world. The global developments during this period, ranging from the Industrial Revolution and the unification of Germany and Italy to the American Civil War. European colonial expansion and scientific advancements shaped the modern world in significant ways. Understanding these global contexts provides a deeper appreciation for the changes that took place in Japan and highlights the interconnectedness of historical events across different regions and cultures. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the key global developments during the Meiji Restoration era. I hope you found it as enlightening and fascinating as I did. Stay tuned for more stories from the pages of history.